Welcome to our fourth season of The Parenting Brief. I'm your host, Jessica Stewart-Gonzalez, an Arizona working mom and chief of the Office of Children's Health at the Arizona Department of Health Services. If you have young children, you're in the right place. With every episode, we cover the tools you need to navigate the challenges and joys of parenthood. Thank you for joining me today on The Parenting Brief. Getting together with friends and family to celebrate special occasions and holidays is such an important part of family life. It's important to keep safety in mind, especially when young kiddos are involved. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the moment and forget about things like alcohol and breakable dishes that might be within reach of little hands. That's why we're here today, to help keep kids safe while families celebrate life's important moments. With us today is Emily Flanigan. Emily is the Program Strategy Specialist in Children's Health at First Things First. Thank you again for joining us today, Emily.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
What's the best way for a party host to plan for a party that kids will be at?
Yeah, so they should, take into account the age of the children that will be attending, and if they need to do things like baby proof, like put locks on cabinets, make sure that if they have a pool, that the pool gate is latched and locked, and that if there's, a back door leading out to that, that's locked as well. If the party's inside, they should make sure anything such as like glass plates or cups aren't reachable for the children and out of their reach, and make sure any like household chemicals are locked away, things like cleaners or medicines are out of reach and in a locked area. So those are just a few things they can do to help prepare.
Focusing a little more on safety, are there other things parents should look out for?
Yeah, I think being mindful of, pets in the home. If the person who's hosting the party has a dog or a cat who's maybe not used to being around small children, that can always pose a risk. So, even if someone else could watch that pet, if it could be at a different house during the party or putting the pet in a different room, just so it's not stressed out by all the guests. And then of course children want to, grab animals or pet them. They're curious about them. So that could always pose a risk. And then if there are firearms in the house, if people keep firearms and they're not in a normal lockbox, to make sure that those are locked and put away, just like any medicines or chemicals or something like that. But firearms are another thing that we want to make sure are locked up and put away.
How can we maintain that kid's safety throughout the party?
Yeah, so it's a good idea to have maybe one adult at each time during the party who's kind of designated for watching the children, that can kind of observe when these things happen. Like, of course, someone might put down that cup, and so they can step in when they see that child and, take it out of their hands to make sure no injuries happen. And then whoever is kind of that child watcher at the time can alternate between different adults. But just having one person who's really supervising and aware of everything that's going on can help from preventing those mishaps from happening.
What are some examples of foods that could be a choking hazard for children that might be served at a party? And what about potential allergies? How does one create an allergy-friendly menu?
So a lot of the common party foods can, be choking hazards. So things like chips, popcorn, pretzels, a lot of those can present as choking hazards for young children. So definitely thinking through what you want to serve at your party, or if you do want to serve those foods, make sure again they're high up, out of the reach of children. But if you do want to have, things like grapes or hot dogs, make sure they're cut up into very small pieces about the size of the child's pinky finger. So it depends on the size of the child, but they should be cut up very small if you are going to serve those. There are, of course, a wide variety of other foods you could serve that, aren't as prone to be choking hazards. But just think through what's on your menu. And if it's, small, if it's hard, if it's sticky. So some of those sticky candies can also be choking hazards. Just thinking through your menu. And then to prepare for allergies, it's always a good idea, not just for children, but for adults, to find out if any of your guests have allergies. So you can make sure that you don't have those around, that you don't serve those. And to minimize any allergic reactions.
What are some fun and engaging kid-friendly activities that can keep them entertained and safe during a party?
So having multiple things out can keep them occupied. So having a coloring table is always something easy to set up. So just having blank sheets of paper or coloring books with crayons and markers can definitely keep them entertained for a while. Things like Play-Doh or any kind of sensory play, like sensory bin with like beans and dried beans and rice, something that they can play with and get their hands in. If it's outdoor, having things like balls, frisbees, different things that they can be physically active with. You could set up like a small obstacle course or running races. Also, asking if you yourself are hosting the party, maybe don't have small children, asking parents to bring their child's favorite toys or their favorite games.
How important is it to have a sober adult present at a party where there will be kids? And what are some specific responsibilities this person should have?
So yes, it's important to have, multiple adults that can help out if they're really young children, like, babies or toddlers, make sure there's one adult for 1 to 2 babies. But then if there's multiple children, all different ages, we want to make sure that there's more than one adult that can support them, especially if they're different ages and they're engaged in different activities. They might be in different parts of the party. So you might want one adult with one set of children and another adult supervising another set of children. And then also to make sure that they could have, relief for the parents. So if one adult is watching the children, they can tag in another adult who can take over watching those children.
Sometimes it could be awkward to assign those roles to other parents. Do you have any advice on how to avoid the potential awkwardness of asking parents coming to the party to be that dedicated, sober adult?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think if you approach it that everyone is coming to this party to enjoy themselves, to have fun, including the parents with the children and the children themselves. So asking the parent, to take turns being that responsible child watcher at the time, you can remind them that, hey, you're responsible. Can you watch these children for an hour, and then the next hour you're able to enjoy yourself, and kind of not have that responsibility. And it's not placing shame or saying that someone can't take care of them, but it's relieving them of that responsibility so that they can, not worry about what their children are doing or what they're getting into, or if they're in an unsafe situation, because they can feel comfortable and confident knowing that someone is taking care of them and someone's watching them. And I think sharing that responsibility and spreading that out throughout the adults at the party is a great way to handle that. And of course, making sure that those adults are sober and, they're able to do that as well is a big factor too.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We have more helpful resources and recommendations in the show notes. Please share this podcast with other parents or soon-to-be parents in your life. We want everyone to know as much as they can about how to raise happy, healthy kids. Until next time, this is Jessica. You've got this.